What's going on, guys? Jay Tsuro. Hope you're doing well and swell. Beautiful morning today. We are on the commute, and a topic came to mind I really want to dive into, and why cars are a scam. Okay, we're going to go over why cars are a scam. Maybe this is something you've thought about, maybe you've never thought about it, but nonetheless, we're going to get into it. All right, so let's look at point one. Look at what I'm going through right now. Okay, I've got a commute. I'm working on the other side of town today, and this is what I got to deal with, right? You're in stop and go traffic. You know, most of the times when you see car commercials, they try to sell you the dream. You're going to be out in, you know, a mountain terrain in a Jeep Wrangler, and you're going to, you know, be going through the mountains and everything, right? No traffic, no other cars in sight, just you in the wilderness. I'm here to tell you, at least in my life, and I know many other people's lives, that is nowhere near the truth. You're going to be in stop and go traffic. You're going to be at stoplights. You know, you're going to be watching out for other drivers, accidents going on, construction, pedestrians. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So the way they market cars, complete sham. And I used to work in the car dealership, so I know a little thing or two about dealership world, and it's a complete sham, scam, bamboozle, whatever. Okay, so point one of why cars are a scam: look at the traffic. Okay, you're always going to be you know, dealing with other drivers. It's nowhere near as freeing as they portray in the actual commercials. In my experience, it's not. All right. Point number two, the cost of vehicles. Okay, the cost, there is tons of things you need to consider. All right, you've got registration every year. That's mandated by our, you know, GOVT, right? Registration. You've got insurance. You can do liability, which is, you know, the lowest coverage you can do for auto insurance. If you have a car payment, you don't have a choice. You need full coverage. So you got registration, insurance. Then you've got gasoline or fuel, you know, whatever you're driving. And that is a fluctuated price. Obviously, we've seen with what's going on over gasoline and fuel costs have gone up, and they have been more volatile, right? So we got those three: registration, insurance, gasoline. And then you've got vehicle maintenance. So then if you got, you know, oil change that needs done, you know, got to do your brakes, got to do the tires, warranty, or recall. That's what I was thinking. Recalls you have to get done, you know, and this is common stuff. You could run into a uncommon issue. You need your whole engine changed or something like that, and then you're out of a car for, you know, a week. So these four things, I mean, I'm sure there's other costs as well, but you're kind of forced, at least here in America, you're kind of forced to have a vehicle because we don't have a whole lot of walkability or public transportation. You know, there's certain sides of town or wherever you're from, I'm sure, you know, probably more affluent, richer areas where there's a lot more walkability. People, you know, exercising, walking their dogs, riding bikes, and there's a bunch of stores and stuff for easy commute. Well, in a lot of the cities that I've seen in America, that's not the normal. That's not the common thing, right? So in a city, usually it's super hard to get around everywhere. You have to do and rely on a car. You know, sometimes, you know, if you're in, okay, like New York or Chicago, right, they have, you know, public transportation. But then it's like, how safe is this, right? You're on there with, you know, God knows who, and, you know, all kinds of stuff going on. I'm sure it smells lovely. You know, I've been on the Chicago I forget what it's called, but and Toronto. When I went to Toronto, they had I forget what the card's name was, but you could get a card and just like tap it and go around places. So I mean, yeah, it can be convenient, but you know, you're around everyone else and who knows what they're doing. And so anyways, the problem really becomes is there's no walkability, and you need a car to even function really in America. Like it's not even an option. And that's by design. You know, they want people to buy cars because what do cars do? They need gas, right? They need maintenance. They need insurance. Like, this is all money for these companies. I mean, look at all these cars around. Every one of these cars has to be registered, has to have insurance, has to put gas in it, have to do maintenance. I mean, that's like 4 or 5 industries that get rich off of people having vehicles. So why on earth would you think that they would promote public transportation or, you know, having society be more walkable when just off of, again, about probably 4 or 5 industries are getting rich off of us having vehicles? And another reason why this is the case is because America wasn't started until way later, right? So over in Europe, you know, countries, everything's a lot more compact, and also the Northeast. Like, the more west you go through America, everything spreads out more. And that's because, you know, when we first got here over in America, it was very European minded as far as the, you know, layout, infrastructure, that type of thing, because that's what was going on. Well, Europe has been around a lot longer, at least as in terms of, you know, buildings and infrastructure. And so a lot of times it's not convenient to, you know, have cars because everything is on top of each other. Everything is very tight, and, you know, they just were easily adaptable into public transportation, right? As opposed to America, they basically could make this by design from the start, right? Open land, no cities, no roads, and they can just do whatever they want. So that's why we're dealing with the roads, the highways that we use, okay? So that's point 2, why cars are a sham, is just overall vehicle cost. So point 1 was the sham of the vehicle as far as your commuting, stuff like that. It's not I don't find this as enjoyable. I mean, sometimes a night drive might be cool every once in a while. Point 2, all the vehicle costs, all the maintenance, all the insurance, all the gas, everything like that. And then point 3, which this could be more so the slept on part. You know, I don't know about you guys. If you work in an office, you're sitting all day, right? You get in your car, you're sitting when you drive the car, obviously. Having a car, it takes away, or it can, from overall health, right? It can contribute to more of a sedative lifestyle, in my opinion. Now, like, I'm not saying get rid of a car, right? Obviously I just talked about we've got to have a car in America to even function. So obviously I'm not saying sell your car and just walk everywhere tomorrow, but what I am saying is try to limit the cost of vehicle ownership. So, and that was kind of the point 4, kind of combined into this point. Never finance a vehicle. I mean, hardly ever does it make sense to finance a vehicle. All right. I mean, look, if your passion is, you know, cars, and you like that whole scene and you like the Fast and Furious movies, that's fine. I understand it. You know, put money in that hobby if that's what makes you happy. Always try to avoid a car payment. You know, they are one of the biggest rip-offs you can do. And I mean, that's just a fact. The average car payment, I think, is up to like $700 now. When I was working in car sales, it was like $500, and that was like 2020, 2021. So just within 5 years, I mean, the monthly payment is up about $200, $250 on the average car payment. That's insane. So my recommendation, buy something cash. You know, if you're just using it for point A to point B, you don't need something crazy. Now, if it's a hobby, you know, and you really like them, then okay, maybe you can make an argument to be able to do that. I used to have a Nissan 350Z. I used to have, you know, Mustangs. Like, I get it, right? Cars can be fun. They can be enjoyable, especially if you're into the hobby. You go to car meets, all that. I get it. I understand. So maybe in that situation, you could, you know, give yourself some more grace. I mean, the only other thing is if you're making absolutely just insane money, then at that point, who cares, right? If you get a lease or, you know, buy a business or a vehicle through the business, it's a write-off, and if you can make it make sense, then sure. But I mean, probably 90-95% of people that finance a vehicle probably should not have financed them, you know. It's another mechanism and design to keep you trapped and put under. You know, I used to have a car loan. I had a very expensive lease, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and it took me, and a bike. I financed a Honda CBR. It took me probably 3 or 4 years to reverse the damage of me doing those two things. Imagine if I just never did it, and I started, you know, investing a little bit earlier, that type of thing. If you can just avoid this stuff entirely, good for you. You're probably going to be, you know, further than most people. So anyways, that's it. I've rambled on enough, but I've gave you guys several points. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.